Hey there again, friends. Well, I'm kind of making a freestyle chat here. It's the middle of the day. It's around noon, December 4th or something, and I guess I would call it a pep talk, maybe to myself partially, but maybe to others. I should probably be doing something else right now, but I feel like if I vocalize things, as cheesy as it sounds, it kind of helps me to process them as well. I haven't been feeling very good lately, but I've also had moments where I felt great. It's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of mood swings, I would say. Now, I generally have my emotions in check. I don't get angry and take my frustrations out on other people. I don't have such mood swings that I'm elated and crazy and then depressed the next moment. But I've noticed as I get older, I'm more in tune with my emotions, but also with the ups and downs of why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. I'm constantly monitoring, whether or not because I was thinking yesterday, a lot of us suffer from either, maybe I've mentioned this before, but a lack of, I'm a procrastinator. I wait till the last minute for everything. And procrastinators tend to pay the price. Procrastination has its benefits as well, in some cases, like putting off a final report until you have all the facts and figures, that kind of thing. But there's another side that has to be considered, that if you, I started thinking of myself as lazy. And so I started looking up, what's the difference here between lazy and being non-motivated? See, I'm very motivated to do things that I probably don't need to do. But in my heart, I feel like I need to do them. And one of those is making videos. So me sitting here talking to you is a way for me to express myself and bounce ideas off of other people, because I don't really have any type of a group in my real day-to-day life where I can bounce deep ideas off of. Now, if I was into just, if I was just into sewing, or and I had a sewing circle, or even a local group, even if I was a member of a group, at these times, we don't have our groups. We don't even have a way to communicate with one another except for the internet because of COVID and all the groups being shut down. The fact that I can't go to a concert this summer and, see the people that I wanted to see and do the things I wanted to do. That's not, for me to complain about that, it just seems pathetic. I mean, so many people have it so much worse than I do. But that's why it's hard to try to give people words of wisdom or advice when everybody's in a different situation. However, we do share, a general, a few things. Sorry, I got distracted by this door blowing open. I'm going to have to go put a thing up against it. That's real as it gets there. Maybe that's just it. I get distracted by everything. I mean, it's like jumping from one thing to another to distract myself from, maybe the bigger picture. But when I start analyzing all these other things I need to do, I start thinking, in the end, really, we're just trying to keep ourselves busy as human beings. And during lockdown, or at least partial lockdown, the idea that we just can't go out and celebrate and do the things we used to do, that's bad enough. But I have no reason to complain, because I have my family here. My son is in there jumping around right now, doing PE, doing jumping jacks for PE. Remote learning is a pain in the ass. My other son's in his room, doing his work as well, and he's in junior high now. And it's difficult, being at home with your family all the time for a lot of people, and trying to teach your kids. And at the same time, why would anyone complain about being at home with their family? It's not the issue. I love being home with my family. In fact, I'm so grateful that my wife can be home during the holidays this year, because usually as a server, she has to work extra time during the holidays because everybody wants to go out and eat, and it's crazy how many people go out and eat on like Christmas Eve. And so anyhow, on top of it all, as a lot of you who follow my channel know, I've been getting back into carpentry. I set up my shop out there, and I've been starting to take videos of some of my like knife sharpening and some other projects I'm going to be working on. And then I think about all the work that goes into it. Just like all the work I've put into so many things in my life that I do because I don't really expect a payoff other than my own satisfaction. So when I make a video and do a lot of fun editing, I just do it for the hell of it, for fun, because it's enjoyable. But it seems like a waste of time. And I guess what I'm getting at is we constantly are told that certain things are not valuable and other things are. That we're wasting our time with, these ventures because, as one of my subscribers brought up the other day, you're constantly flashed with this gig economy. You can make $1 million like I did. These people out there who are making it seem like money is what matters, and we all know it's not. But money is damn well important. It's still one of the main factors that we struggle with. At least me personally, to the point where you have to at least be aware of it. But it's not something that the decisions we make, say buying a fancy car, like I can't believe people buy a $50,000 car when they're, basically broke and they're making payments on it or leasing it just to have an image. And it's this consumerism, this consumer society that we're kind of forced into. So I was going to say I was getting off track, but really I'm not, because as I said, I didn't really have a plan as to where this video was going to go. I was hoping it would take me somewhere that I could at least process some of what I'm going through and help others at the same time. The reason, as a carpenter, let me explain my history. As a carpenter, for a decade or so, I did everything from the ground up to finished carpentry, the finest finished carpentry. I worked for myself, had my own business for a few years, go out and bid jobs. I did staircases. I can do pretty much anything with wood. Dovetails, and get on my coffee, dog. No, doggy. Lucy wants to come over here and knock stuff around. When I was younger, I was a carpenter for a long time, and then I pulled my back out. I got bad sciatica. I was debilitated for a long time. It comes and goes, but as long as I don't lift and do too much, it's usually all right. The last couple days, it's got bad. And then today, I was out there. I went to just do one little motion to open up the hood on my wife's car. And, I just tweaked it. And it's just so frustrating to have pain, during times when everything else is already fucked up, right? You're like, well, you got mental anguish, and physical pain kind of creates this back and forth, bouncing back and forth of... Somebody mentioned the other day, they said, because I said, it was the video I made that said mental outlook is basically more important than, say, what you eat or, what you do. It's about how you think. And they said, yeah, but if you don't eat proper, then your diet, you won't be able to have good mental faculties without eating properly. And I said, that's absolutely correct. However, you won't want to eat properly if you're depressed and you don't have the proper faculties. This is the conundrum that we're stuck in. This is the vicious circle of being trapped in our own thoughts and never being satisfied, because as humans, we're always yearning for the next thing. It's like built in us to search for something greater and some grander meaning in life, of course, but also to always be looking for something new and novel. It's very hard for us to sit still. In fact, just sitting still is considered one of the most difficult things for people to do. And in fact, there's many different lines of thinking. This is where the idea of meditation comes from, sitting with your thoughts. It's something that's harder for people to do than even when people say, well, it's hard to be motivated and to do things. Really doing things is kind of the default mode. A lot of experiments have been done to show that people would rather, say, take the long way in traffic, even though it'll take longer, just because they don't want to sit in traffic. Being idle is not something that people really want to do. I think there's the saying, what is it? Idle hands are the devil's playthings, or something like that. Something about people who sit idle too long. There's this fear that you get into no good, But the truth is, sometimes we don't sit idle enough to really sit with our thoughts and ask ourselves who we are. Sometimes we sit too long. Naturally. There's the fire truck. I've never been able to get away with doing a video out here. It's pretty much on cue. It seems like about every 10 minutes there's sirens. And it's why I want the hell out of the city. I'd like nothing more than to wake up in the morning and walk out on my back porch and not hear sirens and the gun range up the way. But hey, it could be worse, right? It always could be worse. Maybe that's the message to take away here, that perspective really is everything. You've got to be able to let go of the things that frustrate you. And at a time like this, where everybody's struggling through this pandemic, it's complicating things much more. And believe me, I see it in myself. I've noticed my own short fuse with certain things, my not just the way my daily interactions are, but the way that I've become less tolerant of bullshit, even more so than I was before. Living through the last couple of years, not just COVID, but politics, COVID, the way that the public is treated, that people are just willing to accept their fate as being these numbers, and saying, well, I've got my 401k and my retirement. It's just not enough. We have the disparity in wealth is just one factor here, but it's gotten so bad that we've become accustomed to it, to the point where when I have discussions about these things, like the rich and poor, the gap between the rich and the poor, people, other folks who are just like me, who are, trying to make ends meet, they're defending this wealth gap as if, well, no, it's not as bad as it seems, and no, minimum wage is increasing, and if you make businesses pay more in minimum wage, then it ends up costing the business more, and these huge corporations just buying up their own stock, like stock buybacks. What goes on underneath, what goes on behind the scenes, once you've looked at that, once you've pulled up that curtain, you can't look away from it. You can't. You cannot unknow or unlearn the things you've learned about how fucked up and corrupt our system really is. And I'm just bringing that up because it adds on to the stress. And over the last few years, the things that I've always expected to come to a head are starting to come to a head. And I've always been kind of a little apocalyptic guy. I was always fascinated with the end times, and there's always something's going to happen in my lifetime. That I've always felt since I was a kid that I'm living at the peak of human population during this go round. That sometime in my life, population would start to decline, and that we would have some major disasters that would just compound things, just domino effect. COVID is nothing. It's just a little nail in the coffin, another nail in the coffin, but it's showing the weaknesses, which by people being locked away and having time to think, having those moments of silence, a lot of folks have started to realize what they should have known a long time ago, that it's not what it appears, and that life is more important than going to work, retiring, having your 401k, and eating your lunch. Although it's important to just live, we have to exist, we have to be able to function. We could all do better as a society, and we're not taking care of each other. But then when you back up, you say, well, why should we? Who's to say human nature is to take care of everyone? It's a selfish world. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and if people want to deny that, then they're going to get eaten up. It's up to you to share and be kind and to want to do things for others. It's just in our hearts. It's not like you have to force it by law or create these, tell everyone about your charities. It's just crazy, all these systems we've created, and you're born into this world with a blank slate, and then you're forced into one of these systems, and you build this idea of what life is in your mind, and often it's very skewed. In fact, it's always skewed. All of us are fucked up. In the last 5 years, I've probably gone downhill on the scale of how I compare myself in intelligence to others, or to how much I think I know. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. When I was younger, has gradually dropped off over the last decade or two. Said, okay, I'm not very smart. I don't know that much. What can I know? What things can I know that I can benefit from? And that brings me to, I guess, the main point here. It's what things do you have control of in your life? And that would be your emotional state, your perspective. So even though I'm sitting here with my sciatica just killing me, and I'm feeling the pressure of all these things I know I need to do to get done, I'm also able to keep that from turning into anxiety or depression. I've been having some crazy dreams the last, few months, last half a year or so, my whole life, but especially the last few weeks, and it's just gotten more and more intense every night. And it's just these crazy, some of them are meaningless pattern dreams. Like last night I dreamed I was in Rick and Morty, and it was just Rick was saying something over and over. I can't even remember what he was saying. It was one of those almost like fever dreams where it's just repeating patterns. Very strange. But a lot of them I've had, most of them are more in my school bus or out at a place far away, and there's some crazy event happening. I've had a lot of apocalyptic dreams, and I know that that reflects kind of my inner turmoil or how I'm feeling. We're always going through some sort of inner shit, you know. Hopefully you have somebody you can share that with. Thank God, you know, that I have a wife who understands me and that we're changing together. I mean, since we've met, we were 23, 22 when we met. I mean, that's crazy to think of. Now I'm 45. I mean, over half my life I've been with my wife. So when we were kids, we didn't know shit. And then we have kids, and we're trying to teach them, and maybe the things that I taught them a few years ago I might not even think are true anymore. Oh, well, is that really what I feel? Is that how I, think the world is? Damn. It's okay. We're always changing with new information, and hopefully we can make it through some of the hardest times and the unknowns in the future that will be coming our ways. There's going to be a lot worse things happening in the future, but being able to deal with that perspective is everything. Being mentally prepared is really the only thing that we can do, and our mental faculties are the only thing that cannot be stolen from us. We can have all our money taken away and our properties and our land burned, but you cannot take away that will to know your own heart. That's what keeps people sane when they spend years in, prison camps. And, these people come out strong. How do they do that? Because people are strong. They're resilient. So we complain about our pathetic little things. Maybe, our cup of coffee isn't that great, right? Or maybe it's a little bit rainy out today, but at least our house isn't knocked over by a tornado and we're not getting poisoned by someone. I mean, it could always be worse. And I think that that's an important way to see the world. Talk to y'all later. I guess thanks for coming along. Thanks for listening. Once again, thanks to my patrons, my Patreon patrons. I have a couple new ones. I appreciate all of you. And this channel, I've been able to bounce a lot of ideas off a lot of people. And it's been a fascinating journey. If the lights went out tomorrow, it would be weird. I would have to, if there was no power, I guess what I'm saying is don't tie up too much of our lives in the internet or in technology, because if it disappeared, that's another thing that can be taken away. We want to be able to function. A lot of what I've liked to learn is self-sufficiency, learning how to garden, farm, build your own house, make your own tools. Just be kind of a Renaissance person. And be a jack of all trades, and that includes the mental faculties we need to have. And it's okay to have ups and downs. It's okay if we have a week where we feel like shit, or if we make a mistake and we yell at somebody when we don't mean to. Everybody fucks up. It's okay. We're just human.